He was the pride of Puerto Rico, a thunderous puncher, a crowd favorite, and a tragic hero whose life outside the ring became a cautionary tale. Edwin Chapo Rosario, the former world lightweight and super lightweight boxing champion, was more than just a fighter. He was a symbol of power, promise, and personal demons. At his peak, Rosario's net worth was estimated at $2 million, a fortune built on title purses, endorsements, and live gates, and adjusted to about $5 to $7 million in 2025 value. But money was never the true measure of Rosario's legacy. His impact came from every punch thrown, every cheer heard from the stands, and every lesson his life continues to teach. Early life. Edwin Rosario was born on March 15, 1963, in Candelaria Barrio, Toa Baja, Puerto Rico, a quiet coastal town that had no idea it was raising a legend. He was the youngest of 5 children, born to Antonio Rosario, a hard-working laborer, and Elizabeth Rivera, a homemaker who anchored the family with fierce love and faith. Growing up in a humble neighborhood, Edwin's childhood was tough, not unusual for Puerto Rican families in the 60s. His family struggled to make ends meet, often surviving on modest means. But Edwin had one guiding light, his older brother, Chapo Rosario. Chapo was a rising amateur boxer, fast and skilled. Edwin idolized him. When Chapo tragically died, allegedly due to complications tied to drugs, Edwin's world shattered. He was just a child, but that moment planted a seed in his heart. He would finish what his brother started. He would become a world champion for both of them. Edwin dropped out of school in his teens to pursue boxing. Formal education faded into the background as his fists began doing the talking. At just 8 years old, he entered a gym in Bayamon and never looked back. Under the guidance of legendary trainer Manny Siaka Sr., Rosario sharpened the weapon that would one day shock the boxing world, his devastating right hand. Personal life. Behind the fighter was a man of heart, flawed, passionate, and devoted. Edwin Rosario was married twice. His first marriage, to Maria Marita Rivera, gave him 4 daughters, all of whom he adored. Though the marriage ended in divorce, he remained a constant figure in their lives, often showing up to school events and birthday parties, even when his career was on the line. His second marriage, to Isabel Torres, was short-lived, marked by turbulence and personal struggle. Yet, Rosario never failed to show warmth and loyalty to those he loved. He often spoke about his daughters during interviews, calling them his greatest victories. Rosario was raised Catholic, like many Puerto Ricans, and while he didn't wear his religion on his sleeve, close friends said he would often pray before fights and quietly seek spiritual peace, especially in his later years. Outside the ring, Rosario gave back. He donated to local gyms, trained underprivileged youth in Bayamon, and made surprise visits to boxing clinics for kids in Toa Baja. His life wasn't only about punches, it was about legacy. Professional career, early career, and meteoric rise. Edwin Rosario turned professional at just 15 years old in 1979, making his debut against Jorge Ortega. It didn't take long for the boxing world to take notice. Rosario possessed something rare, not just power but precision. By 1983, he was 21-0, with 20 of those wins coming by knockout. When Alexis Arguello vacated the WBC lightweight title, Rosario was thrust into the spotlight, facing Mexican veteran Jose Luis Ramirez. At only 20 years old, Rosario captured the WBC title on May 1st, 1983, in a brilliant performance that showcased his timing and explosive power. Puerto Rico had found its new hero, defending the throne and facing adversity. Rosario defended the title successfully, but lost it in a controversial rematch against Ramirez in 1984. But defeat only fueled him. 2 years later, he bounced back and captured the WBA lightweight title, defeating Livingstone Bramble and cementing his status as a 2-time world champion. Then came the fight that would define his legacy, a showdown with fellow Puerto Rican legend Hector Macho Camacho in 1986 at Madison Square Garden. The fight was electric. Rosario stunned Camacho multiple times, pressing the action and thrilling fans. But in a split decision that remains debated to this day, Camacho was awarded the win. Though he lost that night, Rosario won something greater, the heart of the Puerto Rican people. He fought like a lion, third title, and moved to junior welterweight. In 1989, Rosario reclaimed the WBA lightweight title, defeating Anthony Jones. But always chasing greatness, he moved up to the 140-pound division in 1991, where he knocked out Loreto Garza to become a three-division champion. Few fighters ever reached that height. Unfortunately, his reign didn't last long. In 1992, he lost the title in one round to Akinobu Hironaka in Mexico City, a bout that hinted at deeper troubles beneath the surface, decline and comeback attempts. By the mid-1990s, Rosario's career was derailed by drug and alcohol addiction. In 1996, he was arrested for stealing beer from a supermarket, a fall from grace that shocked fans. But true to his nature, Rosario fought back. In 1997, he returned to the ring, winning 5 consecutive fights, including a Caribbean title. The comeback was short, but it reminded the world of who Rosario truly was, a warrior. House tour and car collection. Though Rosario earned millions, he lived simply by celebrity standards. He bought a comfortable 2-story home in Toa Baja, close to where he grew up. The house featured a modest gym in the garage, where he trained neighborhood kids for free. The walls were lined with his championship belts, signed gloves, and photos of his brother Papo. Rosario was never a car enthusiast. His garage housed a Ford Explorer, a Chevy Monte Carlo, and a custom Honda Civic painted with the Puerto Rican flag, a symbol of his roots. He wasn't flashy. He was proud. College career. Rosario never attended college. His classroom was the boxing ring. His professors were the greats he faced, and his diploma was written in blood, sweat, and knockouts. He left school early, driven by necessity, hunger, and destiny. Though uneducated in a formal sense, Rosario was wise beyond his years in the sport, understanding angles, timing, and the psychology of the ring better than most fighters of his era. Cause of death. On December 1st, 1997, Edwin Rosario was found dead in his home. He had spent the day with family, but complained of feeling ill that evening. Hours later, his body was discovered in bed. He was just 34 years old. The official cause of death was pulmonary edema, a buildup of fluid in the lungs, possibly triggered by a brain aneurysm. Doctors noted that his years of drug and alcohol abuse had severely damaged his health. Though clean at the time of death, the damage had been done. The boxing world mourned. Puerto Rico cried. In 2006, Rosario was posthumously inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, an honor he richly deserved. He retired with a record of 47 wins, 41 knockouts, and 6 losses, numbers that place him among the most powerful punchers in lightweight history. A boxing gym in Bayamon now bears his name. Murals across Puerto Rico depict his image, gloves raised, eyes fierce. And every young boxer from the island knows this. Before Cotto, before Tito, before Berlanga, there was Chapo. Edwin Rosario lived fast, punched hard, and loved deeply. He was the kind of fighter who didn't just win. He made you feel something. Every time he stepped into the ring, fans held their breath. Because with Chapo, anything could happen. His story is tragic, yes, but it's also heroic. He rose from the barrios of Toa Baja to the pinnacle of world boxing. He inspired millions. And even in death, his name carries weight, not just for the titles he held, but for the heart he showed. He was flawed. He was fearless. He was Edwin Chapo Rosario, Puerto Rico's thunderbolt.